Hey guys, welcome back to the Friday Vlog, where we discuss activity that goes on here with the channel, current events, headlines that are in the news, and items of interest that come up during the week worth mentioning to you guys to have a little bit of a discussion. Now, if you're new to the channel, the Friday Vlog is a time out of the week that we dedicate to coverage that isn't typically here on the channel, which has consisted mainly of gaming and how-tos and reviews for quite some time. And I wanted to return it back to a little bit of this vlog format for you guys, because this was like hugely requested among some of my fellow YouTubers and others who have participated here on the channel. So here you go, guys, another Friday Vlog for you. If you are new to the channel, welcome. And I'd like to encourage you guys, if you haven't already, click on that watermark down there in the bottom right-hand corner to subscribe, and click on that notification bell so you guys will know when the next content is uploaded to the channel. In gaming news, it was a bit of a quiet week out of Daybreak. If you guys haven't already, be sure you check out the Just Survive update notes up here in the top right-hand corner of your screen, so you guys can see what the latest information was out of Daybreak in regards to the game. So hopefully we'll get some kind of information about what direction the game is going to be going in sometime soon. I would anticipate at least by fall we're going to know what the fate of Just Survive is. Also today I am planning on picking up Battlefield 5 for the channel. I am very much looking forward to doing Battlefield 5 coverage again, which was the original game that I started here with the channel. And I also want to pick it up early, that way when there is the next alpha, or even when the beta comes out, I'll be able to participate and bring you guys some coverage for that. So very much looking forward to doing all of that today. So this week, worth mentioning, at least from the side point of my particular interest, and that is the 9th Circuit Court in California actually ruled in favor of the Constitution. Quite extraordinary, as many Americans know, that the 9th Circuit Court is also known as the 9th Circus Court because of its extraordinarily political leanings that it often has. But a gentleman in the state of Hawaii, George Young, had filed a lawsuit because he was unable to get a permit in Hawaii to conceal carry, so he filed a lawsuit which reached the 9th Circuit Court, and they actually ruled in his favor, in the favor of the Constitution. Imagine that. Quite extraordinary, especially for an individual like myself who is a Second Amendment supporter. Guys, if you haven't, you can check out my videos on the Second Amendment rallies up here. I will leave a link to those. It was a interesting battle with the changes with the AI to be able to get those rallies, which represents our Second Amendment, for YouTube to even monetize those. For many, many years they were monetized and then changed, but I digress. So back to Mr. Young here, who actually won his appeal. And so now we're all wondering if this will go to the Supreme Court. Now the Supreme Court has been a little tepid when it comes to the Second Amendment and or what this may all entail. So in other words, in a particular scenario, what we could see is that the Supreme Court introduces concealed carry and or open in all states. So if you aren't familiar with how some of the gun laws work in our country, in most states you are able to purchase a firearm and keep it within your house, which is what Mr. Young had done. He had kept the firearm in his house, but he wanted to apply for a permit, which we can do, and then to be able to conceal carry his firearm. So basically there are a couple ways, well actually there are two different ways. One is called open carry. Now in some states they do allow open carry, and this is where you place your firearm where it can be visually seen on your person or in your vehicle. So if you're stopped by the police, they can see that you do have a weapon in the car, which is lawful in some states, if not most states, if not all states, and then on your person in those states that allow it. Now, you can also apply for a concealed carry permit, which then involves a process that we can talk about at another time, but nonetheless, you then have the concealed carry permit that you carry with you, and then you can conceal that weapon. For example, for a female can keep it in a purse or in a holster covered, as well as males can keep it in a holster with it covered and concealed within your vehicle. So with this particular ruling with the Ninth Circuit Court there in Hawaii, of course, it will be interesting to see if it does make it all the way up to the Supreme Court and see what rulings they have. Now, just a side note here when it comes to concealed carry is that some states recognize reciprocity. And what that means is that if, for example, I have my permit carry here in this state, I'm able to go to other states with it. Now, if you are a legal carry individual, then you know, or individuals who are unaware, all the gun control folks out there who may not be aware, typically your law-abiding citizens that have concealed carry or have firearms will check their laws and city laws, county laws, and federal laws to see if they are able to go to certain states. So individuals who typically carry legally will be keeping up with the latest laws because it's important to know what all has changed. But this was a huge victory for the Second Amendment and just a shocking decision on the Ninth Circuit Court, but nonetheless very much worth mentioning. Now, to include this into the topic here, there was a very amazing and extraordinary event that played out there in Nevada with the police there as they were pursuing two alleged murderers in a vehicle. And the reason I wanted you guys to watch this is because part of that debate when it comes to firearms is the amount of ammunition that you can carry or sizes of magazines. Now, in my two particular firearms, I have 22 rounds magazines for them. Now, those are illegal in New York and in California, but here in the state that I live in, they're legal. And there's a reason why it's important to have levels or higher levels of ammunition, and that is because in very heated situations, life or death situations, you know, thinking you can just fire off 6 rounds or 8 rounds like people do in the movies just isn't the way it works. And this is why I wanted to include the video of this Las Vegas police officer who is a veteran on the force, and you can see even when he is exiting the vehicle, he's making an exchange with his magazine, and you can see just for a brief moment he was going to put it in backwards. So you can see that even in the heat of the moment, there really isn't this time to lollygag and thought about, you know, well, change, oh, do I go with a 6-round magazine or do I go with a 10-round magazine today? Well, you know, I don't want to fire too many rounds, so maybe, no, this doesn't happen. There's a reason why people carry ARs in their home, because you want the advantage. You want the tactical advantage when it comes to firearms. So we'll keep an eye on this to see where this particular ruling goes and if it does make it to the Supreme Court. Also worth mentioning this week, I was able to finish up the Sword of Shannara Trilogy by Terry Brooks, one of my favorite sci-fi series. If you guys have not read Terry Brooks, very much worth it. I really enjoy this particular series. It is one that a close friend of mine got me started on back when we were in high school, just to give you an idea of how old that particular books or series of books are. And then there is a gigantic list of a Shannara series of books that are out by Terry Brooks. I'll leave you a link to those down there as well. And if you guys want to pick up the hardback and or the paperback, that link will be included as well. They did do a season on MTV that centered around the Elfstones of Shannara. The series was called The Chronicles of Shannara, and in the first season it centered around the Elfstones, and I was kind of hoping they would go with an R.R. Martin style and kind of stay as close to the book as they could. I wasn't really sure how they were going to do it, but since it was MTV, they had to appeal to the millennials, so there was a lot of creative liberty injected into the series. I would have to say that maybe 18% of the Elfstones was actually included in the actual series, and the rest of it was just creative liberty by the directors and producers. Although Terry Brooks did have a say in a lot of what happened. The series was then picked up by another network. So season 2 is on a different network other than MTV. I can't recall who that was. But if you like, you guys can just look up the Shannara Chronicles, and probably it's on Netflix, Hulu, perhaps, and you guys can check out the series there. The second season is a hodgepodge of the different books. I've not seen it yet, but I'm kind of curious to see what they do with it. And maybe they discontinued the series because it wasn't very close to the books, or the audience that they were trying to target wasn't you know, that receptive of the book versus, say, like diehard fans like myself. But I will leave some links down there for you guys to check them out. And that's going to wrap it up for this Friday vlog. Guys, thank you so much for your support. I appreciate that you guys have been here with me along this journey, doing Vlogs, it is something certainly different than what I would normally do or what I would normally pursue as a YouTube creator. But nonetheless, you guys have been pretty supportive and I appreciate it. It has been kind of a slow time during the summer for not only my channel, but for many other channels. But nonetheless, I'm glad to have introduced the Friday Vlog to you during these summer months when things are a little bit slower. If you haven't already by this time, go ahead and click on that watermark that is now appearing on the screen. Actually, that would be a channel icon that is appearing there on the screen. And then of course, click on the notification bell because that's the way YouTube is now. Used to be that you subscribed and then receive notification, but now you have to click that bell so people will know that there is a new upload. Guys, thank you so much for your support and I will see you next Friday.